Yeah, so someone asked me, you're talking about storytelling and patterns of attack, and I get it, but what does that have to do with things like visibility or centralization of data? I think I get it, but can you talk about that? So sure, real quick, don't want to take too long. First of all, when you craft your story, when you see what's going on in the attack, uh, you need to craft the story at the right level, in the right spot, right? If it's too broad, you're going to match a lot of legitimate activity. If it's too narrow, you're going to miss a lot because the attacker changes a few things, a few aspects of their campaign, a couple hashes, things like that. If it's too specific, too narrow, then you won't catch those. When you're looking for the story, you'll actually miss it because it's too narrow. So you got to get right in the sweet spot there. And of course, if you don't have visibility to start with, well, you didn't have any observed data to really build the story out on, and then you won't have any way to detect when this story is retold, right? When this pattern of attack occurs, because if you don't have visibility, you're just kind of dead in the water. And honestly, visibility is here because when you go to a conference and every vendor's talking about visibility, it means it's cleared that hurdle, and really it's in everyone's vernacular kind of thing. So you got to have visibility, and really you got to have continuous recording, continuous monitoring, or else you're missing stuff in those gaps, in between the strobe lights going off, right? But then you have to centralize it too. There's this really big push now to centralize information for correlation, for fusion of different intelligence sources, etc. And so if you're not centralizing it, you're just going to be at a disadvantage. When you centralize it, it gives you that history where when I pick up on a new story today that I didn't detect before, that an attack I never saw before in my environment, now I craft a new story to look for that attack. Well, can I go back in my environment and see, hey, maybe it's here right now on another machine, or maybe it was here last week? Can you do that? Retrospection, another buzzword, but can you do that? And then also, when you craft a new story, can you make sure it's not hitting legitimate activity? If I just said, oh, this attack was Chrome spawning Java, so I'm just going to use that as my detection. Well, we all know that wouldn't work. That would be too noisy. But if you have the data that says, hey, oh, wow, I have 4 million instances of this just in the last week across my environment. Okay, well, good. Now I can refine my story, my pattern. And so if you're not centralizing information, if you're not doing continuous recording, visibility, all that, you're just not going to have the same capabilities. And then you're ultimately not going to be able to hunt, which we'll kind of leave for another time. But you need a nice data set, and you need to hand the security team the tools and the data to go find evil. And if that has to be very disruptive to your org, or it depends on all your machines being turned on all at the same time, well, it's just not going to be very effective because we know the bad guys don't just work 9 to 5. So you need to make sure you centralize as much of the information as you can so you can quickly iterate on your hypotheses and your ideas, and when you're trying to do a storytelling session, so that when you come up with something, you can quickly say, yep, this looks good. It's only matching the bad stuff, not the good stuff. Let's alert on this now. So keep thinking about that when you're thinking about stories. Continuous and centralized for storytelling.